What's going on, guys? This is the Magic Geek here, your one-stop shop for anything Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, just about anything TCG related, and today I bring you another deck profile. Once again, this one is going to be a branded list. I know I've done several at this point compared to the rest of them, but alas, this is a deck that I've been grinding to hell. I've been loving it so much, and yeah, it's just easily been my favorite deck to actually play with a little bit as of recently. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start off with the Albaz monsters slash the ones that mention them. We got 3 Shrouded Dragon, 3 Namesake Fallen of Albaz, 3 Blazing Cartesia, and we've got 2 Quim. Sorry about the glare there. So the first thing that's probably going to stand out to a lot of you is the 3 Cartesia and 2 Quim. This was a personal preference on how I ended up liking the ratios. It's made my grind game so much better. This is probably, you could just easily run these as we used to, as 2 Cartesia and 1 Quim. But like I said, this made my grind game so much better and just made my life easier in general. So, even if you're against it, go ahead and try it if you haven't already. Um, and then past that, I feel like the other ratios are fairly self-explanatory. Let's go ahead and go off of that here. For more Albaz monsters, we have a couple of one-ofs. Well, a few one-ofs. I'm playing Golden Sword Soul. I'll get back to this. 1 Spring and Skit, feel like is mandatory, and 1 Mercurier, once again semi-mandatory here. So Golden Sword Soul, like I said, I'll go ahead and get back to it real quick, has been a godsend in so many instances. It's saved me on multiple occasions from dealing lethal, because if you haven't actually read the card before, when a monster declares an attack, special summon this card, and if you do, negate that attack. Then, if you control a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz material, destroy the monster that declared that attack. Notably, the rest of the effect here has a field or graveyard effect. I'll go ahead and read it as well. If a monster is banished face up, accepting the damage step, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard. Special summon a light spellcaster from hand or graveyard whose attack equals its own defense. You can only use this effect of Golden Sword Soul once per turn. So, I put an emphasis on this in that instance because you can negate the uh, Golden Sword Soul effect from hand to special summon itself and negate the attack, right? Just do it again. Do it again. So the negate attack effect has been, like I said, it has saved me on so many occasions. The second effect, and basically the only other reason why I'm playing it, has started making me curious about whether or not I'm actually going to continue playing 3 Cartesia 2 Quem. This helps, once again, my grind game in that regard. Helps me recycle my Cartesias, recycle my Quems. Kit and Mercurier, I feel like fairly self-explanatory if you've ever played Branded in the slightest. It's kind of mandatory one-ofs, or one or more ofs, but spoiler alert, I'm not also on alert in this build, so I only opted to play the 1 Mercurier instead of 2. Alright, let's move on to Branded Spell Traps. Once again, namesake, requirement of 1 Branded Fusion, 1 Branded in white, 1 Branded in red, got 3 High Spirits, 3 Opening, 1 Lost. Basically, I feel like fairly self-explanatory, or standard ratios, I should say. You could play a second Lost. I'm opting not to, strictly, or not Lost, sorry, Branded in red. I'm deciding not to, because I'm also, once again, spoiler alert, not playing Guardian Chimera. So I just opted against it. I couldn't find the space for it on my extra deck, so I'm not gonna build my main deck around that. Everything else is fairly standard for the most part. Then I also have 1 Banishment and 1 Retribution. Retribution, allows you to recycle any of your branded spell traps. Banishment helps you with lad lines and the like. Or, can also help you get to like Masquerade, Queritus, Briskinion, etc., etc. But usually I tend to make lad with it. Let's move on to a handful of Despia cards here. I've got 3 Aluber and 1 Tragedy. Once again, fairly self-explanatory there. A couple extenders here. We have 3 Fusion Duplication, Fusion Deployment. And you know what, since I mentioned it anyways, let me go ahead and find it. I am main decking 1 Fusion Duplication. Uh, this might as well say Branded Duplication. Like, it's so good. Same thing with Fusion Deployment. They just help you extend so far past hand traps and help you with starters and everything else too. They're so good. In this instance, we're going to go ahead and move on to a bestial package. I've got 1 Lubellion and 3 Saronir. This is more or less what came up in my testing to be better Magnemite. For a while I was playing 1 Lubellion, 1 Magnemite, 2 Saronir. Magnemites ended up becoming so lackluster I wanted to cut it, or I always wanted to get rid of it every time I ever saw it. So I just went up to 3 Saronir. Depending on your deck count, this could just easily, be cut down to, 1, 1, and 1, or whatever else. So take your own pick on that one, but that is what I decided on. I've got 3 thrusts. Might as well say Branded Tactics Thrust. It's so good. Your Branded Fusion gets ashed, your Grass gets ashed, whatever else. You can get Fusion Duplication off of it. It's especially while you're going first. It's just so good. Then past the thrust, we do have a few targets here. I got Gold Sark to go with the Tragedy and the Mercurier. I've got a Grass Looks Greener, and I've got a Talent. Talent, even just as a one of, we've only ran it at 1 for the longest time anyways, or at least I feel like it's only been the best at 1 anyways, so, might as well keep running it. Grass in so many matchups is just so good. It basically just says mill 20 win the game. Quite frankly, it really does. Alright, moving from thrust targets, we'll go on to some board breakers. I am on 3 Droplet and 3 Super Poly. I feel like those are just the best options for our board breakers right now. You could cut this down to 2 Droplet realistically if you want to, but I just love the versatility of it going first and second. It just helps out a ton. Super Poly, you're, again, spoiler here, but the extra deck doesn't really run the traditional Super Poly targets, but your entire extra deck's a Super Poly target if you play correctly. Slash if you don't get hosed. 1 Called by the Grave, fairly mandatory in that regard. Now for hand traps, I am running 6 of them. Let's go with Mulch Army Fuelos as a 3 of, and 3 Droll and Lockbird. Droll's just a super good card this format. You can either put that into, it's a pocket format, so that's the only reason why it's good, or you could just put it into the matter of, it's just a really solid card this format. So if you're not playing it somewhere in your main or side deck, you're probably wrong. And then last card, I know that you guys have been waiting for it. I am playing Ido. This has primarily just been a flex slot for me for the most part. This could just easily not exist. I like having it as basically an oh crap button. Just strictly so that way, if I'm playing in a matchup where I know generally what my opponent's on, but I don't know how to play through it properly, and I just kind of can cheese out that win fairly easily. One guy at my locals, he'll play Makonko, and so I'm just slap Ido on your side of the field. I'm not dealing with all that, homie. So yeah. There's that main deck. We're at a 58 card main deck. I'd love to be up at 60, but I'm currently waiting on my Perulias. So, and then whenever those come in, I'll be running 2 Perulias in the main. But with that, let's go and go on to the extra deck. Some more fairly standard ratios. I got 2 Albion the Branded Dragon. I've got 1 Lubellion, 2 Mirror Jade, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Titaniclad, 1 Renbrum for all the Albaz fusions. Again, fairly self-explanatory for all these, standard ratio. I feel like for the most part, you can get away with running 1 Mirror Jade. I've always liked the 2. In my particular locals meta, it comes up so much to have the 2. For Cartesias, we got the two Grant Wignall, once again fairly standard, fairly mandatory there. For Despian monsters, I've got Masquerade, Quaertus, and Proskinion. All three of these have always come up. I used to side the Masquerade and main Abalanatus instead, but that was primarily because for a few weeks my locals was primarily like Blue Eyes, or there was like 2 to 3 Blue Eyes players, so I didn't want to get sacked by those. And let me tell you, the greatest feeling in the world is Blue Eyes setting up their entire field. You go set Albaz, tribute their whole field, or Abalanatus, and basically, extend the handshake. But yeah, all three of these come up. I could probably cut the Quaertus, to be quite honest. Hasn't come up nearly as often as the rest of them, but either way, the options are there. And then last two, I've got Chaos Star Source and Lightning Darkness Dragon Lord. Chaos Star Source, excellent for just popping back row, and then Lightning Darkness Dragon Lord. It helps you set up layered end boards so easy, and it's a 3 triple Omni Negate, so why would you not want to run it? Alright, that's it for the extra deck. Now, for the first time, I'm going to go ahead and show off a side deck for you. This one is mostly based off of my locals slash, just random testing that I'm planning on doing. But, so take this with a grain of salt to whatever competitive level you're trying to take this to. We're going to start this off with 3 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Basically just helps you not get FTK'd, which is always good. I've got 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Harpies, and 1 Dark Ruler for more thrust targets, and for board breakers going second. To go with those, I've also got triple Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is so good this format. You have no idea how many times I just sacked an opponent just because I had Evenly Matched in my hand. And, they went first, so it just wasn't a good time for them. Past that, couple more thrust targets and fusion duplication for going first. You really want to see these going first, especially if you expect your Branded Fusion to get negated in any way, shape, or form, or interacted with. It's just such a good card. You always want to see it going first. Even if you don't, it's not that big of a deal, but you just go plus a million with that card. And then a newer card that could just easily be like Solemn Strike or anything, but I really want to test it out because I really like the concept of it, is Dragon's Mind. If you don't know the effect of it, it is a counter trap. Whenever a spell, trap card, or a monster effect is activated while you control a monster, not just a dragon, a monster, with 2500 original attack or defense, negate the activation if you do destroy it. If it's in your graveyard, you can pay 2500 life points, set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, you could read this as a basically slightly better Solemn Strike, or slightly worse Solemn Strike, depending on what side of the equilibrium you're on there. And, it's just, on paper, it's such a good card. Like I said, I haven't gotten too much testing done with it, but I really want to check it out. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming out. This has been my Branded Despia deck profile. Once again, I am at 58 cards. If you're writing or typing this out, go ahead and leave any comments or suggestions on what you think you would probably do better, or if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything else, go ahead and leave those in the comments. If you would, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribing would help out a lot, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.